So we're all familiar with adult cartoons, right? You've got your Rick and Mortys, you've got your Simpsons, you've got your Family Guys. It's a genre that has, dare I say, defined a generation. And we all know when something defines a generation, something makes a lot of money. And when something makes a lot of money, you're bound to have people here and there trying to get a little bit of that cheddar. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Some of the best shows around are modern adult cartoons. Some of them. I want to be very clear when I say some of them. They're not all good. There are some really bad ones. Which is why we're here today. Hey, what's going on? I'm Storm. I need sleep. And today we are talking about the adult cartoon epidemic. But before we criticize an entire part of the entertainment industry, we must first identify the issue. No, wait. We must first identify the conundrum. No, that's not it. What does the script say? Oh, we must first identify the problem. The adult cartoon is a thing that's been around for longer than you think. When I say adult animation, your mind probably goes somewhere like The Simpsons, which is on its 35th season and running, having premiered in 1989, 36 years ago. But that's not the first ever adult cartoon. According to my research...
Do you mean your singular Google search?
Herbert, can you just give me 1 second? According to my research, the first ever example of a cartoon intended for an older audience was a show called Fritz the Cat in 1972, predating The Simpsons by 17 years.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, Herbert, I know. 17 years is a long time.
No, not that. Why do you have so much porn open in your browser?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Seriously, this cannot be healthy.
So we've established that it's a genre that has existed for some time now, and it's an industry that makes a decent amount of cash. But I'm sure we're all familiar with the term bad adult animation. Is that the wrong way around? Bad adult animation. I think that, I'm not sure. If it isn't the right way around, I'll use this take instead. Cut this part out. Originally, this video was going to be about how bad adult cartoons have become, trying to copy what has come before. But in my research, I think I've actually identified the problem with these new shows. And on top of that, found some shows that I think might be worth checking out. During my searches, I found two main components that I think are causing these shows to be bad. Or sometimes just unwatchable. Animation and formula. These are the two defining factors. Animation is kind of obvious. It's just the quality of the animation and, if the show is even appealing to look at all. But then there's formula. I almost forgot my own thing. Then there's formula, which I could argue it's probably more important to weigh in here. When I say the formula of a show, I'm kind of umbrellaing a term for the comedy, the way the characters work together, the setting, the plot, and, just the general vibe of the show. What was that?
Oh, sorry. That was just all the credibility of your review being lost.
What? Why?
Storm, you just said that you're looking at the vibe of the shows.
They understand what I mean.
Do they?
I mean, I hope they do. And that's why I've picked 3 shows from my list that embody these factors in some way, shape, or form. So without further ado, let's get
into the first show.
You are really chatty today. Fairfax is the kind of show that you would call bad, or at first glance even part of the problem, which would be a fair assessment. I mean, look at it. It looks like every shitty adult cartoon on this side of the streaming service. But what if I were to tell you, you're only kind of wrong? Fairfax is all about a group of teens growing up in a Los Angeles parody city called Fairfax. It navigates the struggles of being a teenager in the modern age of social media, standards, and role models in a satirical way. And although the animation is not very easy on the eyes, Fairfax is genuinely hilarious. The thing that I think really carries the comedy is that they managed to not do a hat on a hat.
For those of you who don't know, in comedy there's a fundamental rule that means you're ruining a joke or being unfunny by doing too much. Basically, the joke was working just fine before, but you've added too many elements to the mix and it just falls flat on its face.
Thanks, Herbert. I got it though. The other comedic technique it uses is comedic foil, also known as the straight man. In this case, we have one of our main characters, Dale. Having a character that you can relate to on screen makes some of the more absurd humor easier to digest. This doesn't mean that you necessarily have anything in common with this person, more that you and this character on screen share a mutual understanding that what's happening is out of the ordinary.
Like Jim from The Office.
Yes, like Jim from The Office.
Oh boy, I do love that show. I can't believe I finished it in a week.
Well, you still would have been able to enjoy it had you not watched ahead without me.
Oh, come on, this again?
Yes, this again. The Office was our show. But no, you couldn't wait a week while I was out of town. Does this friendship mean nothing to you?
Storm, I'm a fucking computer. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. I guess you're right. So if we look at our little theory here, it meets one of our two standards. The formula works, and the audience has an effective way to connect with the comedy. I know it's strange to praise a show for understanding two very basic fundamentals of comedy, and you think, they're making a comedy show. This should be obvious to them, right? But you'd be surprised how many people don't even bother, which is why, even though Fairfax looks really, just filling runtime really bad, it still manages to be watchable. Dare I be so bold to say enjoyable.
Okay, boys, we've made a few solid movies, but now I think it's time to broaden our horizons, expand our universe. Any ideas?
Sir, do we really have to make more shows? It just seems like we should listen to the fans and, flesh out the characters we already have.
Shut the up, Melvin. Why would we ever do something so stupid?
Yeah, Melvin, why don't we just make a show about a character barely anyone knows in a context that has literally nothing to do with the source material?
That's a great idea.
Wait, what? You never listened to me. Why now? I was being sarcastic.
It's settled then. M.O.D.O.K it is.
And so, a brand new show hit everybody's streaming services. Now, if I told you there was a show about M.O.D.O.K being made, what would you think it's about? Remember, M.O.D.O.K is a villain in the Marvel Comics. M.O.D.O.K standing for mental organism designed only for killing. He's like known to be one of the most heartless, evil characters in Marvel. So what would you think the show is about? Yeah, that's exactly right. I can't believe you guessed that. It's about M.O.D.O.K going through a divorce. I'm surprised you got that one. If it wasn't obvious already, this is the show that lands in the bad formula part of the video. It's really bad. But it's not all bad. It has the same animation team that's behind Robot Chicken, and as we all know, stop motion is the pinnacle of all animation techniques. Oh, sorry, I'm just waiting for the hate comments. Just give it a second. Drew a watch on for this bit, but I don't think you can even really see it. The whole show follows M.O.D.O.K losing his wife, his company, his dignity. It's really sad, if I'm being honest. But I mean, Patton Oswalt voices M.O.D.O.K, so there's that. Need I say more? I'm actually asking. I don't know really what else I can say.
Say something nice.
Okay, Jesus, I'll try my best. The show is really good visually for the most part. It's kind of funny, but if I'm being brutally honest, the comedy isn't really gonna be the reason you watch the show. But I would definitely say you should watch it if you haven't watched Robot Chicken. And to be frank, if you haven't watched Robot Chicken, you're probably just better off watching that instead. The thing is, M.O.D.O.K looks really good, but I feel like the context of the character and the situation they put him in just doesn't hit in the way that I think they were going for.
M.O.D.O.K will destroy you!
Okay, it's finally that time. It's time for the big one. The show you've all been waiting for. The show that was in the thumbnail. Smiling Friends was a show that was released in 2022 and took the internet by storm. Shortly after releasing, it received mountains of praise for having funny characters, good jokes, and most notably, mixed media animation. Now, I'm sure I don't have to explain to you that I'm a mixed media kind of guy. I mean, I literally talk to cartoons. And to be honest, I could probably make an entire video on its own about this show. So for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna condense my points, otherwise this segment would be like 20 minutes long. The show uses multiple techniques to portray its characters. Whether it be 2D animation, CGI, stop motion, or even live action, it combines these mediums in a fun way that almost makes itself the center of the joke half the time. The thing that makes it unique though, is that it's not trying to blur the lines between these different mediums. Rather, it's highlighting the qualities that each of these mediums bring to the table. And you're probably wondering, if it's so good, Storm, then why is it on the list? I thought you were just talking about shows that fit into your dumb little theory thing. And you'd be right, Smiling Friends is widely considered a good show, so why is it in this video? Well, it does something interesting with its comedy. Or, more importantly, it does something interesting with our formula. I mentioned a second ago that the show often makes different animation styles the center of the joke, by either doing something jarring or some kind of slapstick visual gag. This would clearly make it reach our animation requirement, but what makes this so strange is that it also reaches the formula requirement with its animation, meaning that technically, Smiling Friends meets 3 of our 2 requirements. Its animation is good, its animation makes it funny, and it's comedically strong enough without its mixed media. Therefore, according to our little thing we set up in the beginning of the video, Smiling Friends is scientifically the greatest adult animated show of all time. Yeah, that seems about right. Now, I'm not saying that every animated show needs to be the most perfect thing on the planet. Every now and then, it's fun to watch something so bad it's good. I mean, I talked about M.O.D.O.K being rough around the edges, but I watched the entire thing before I even started writing the script. And if it's not obvious by now, that's the point of this video. If you haven't seen a show yourself, don't just immediately write it off as bad. Give it a try, see how it is. And if you're making a show, sincerely doubt anyone watching this is actually in the industry, but if you are, that is really awesome for you. Good job. Okay, that's super. Then take some time to refine your concept. Making a show have swear words and be animated doesn't automatically make it as good as Family Guy. And even then, why do you want to be Family Guy? Make something that reflects who you are, your experiences, your thoughts, your opinions. That's what resonates with people. And that's why I picked each show that I did for this video. Each of them are unique in their own ways. Not necessarily good. Once again, I'm just heavily iterating. I'm not saying they're good, but at least they tried something. I know that sounds like a lot to ask for. Not every show is going to be perfect, but that's what makes the ones that try something different so special. So, I challenge you today. Go on whatever streaming platform you have and pick a show that you would never normally watch. Something completely out of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be animated. It just has to be something new. Who knows? Maybe you'll find your new favorite show. Until next time. Also, I forgot to mention it. You can leave suggestions in the comments for shows, movies, manga, comic, whatever you want me to talk about next. Also, I was gonna say Oso, but I don't really have much more to talk about. Now I'm kind of, I pushed it too far. I'm like Icarus, reached too close to the sun. Oh. Yeah, that was so funny. Maybe I should make an adult cartoon.